In this video, we're going to look at what RHTML files actually are. If we look at our Movie Critic project, you'll notice inside of our Views folder, up to this point, we've generated a few files and folders inside of our Views. One is our Comment folder here, and one is our Layouts folder here. The Layouts folder contains an RHTML file that gets applied to whatever controller files that we have here. So when Rails goes ahead and renders these particular RHTML files here, it goes and looks actually for if that particular controller has a comment file, then wraps each of these RHTML files, because these are the comment views, inside of this particular layout, which makes it convenient for you because then you can have a consistent layout throughout your application. Now, what is a RHTML file? Well, it's really just an HTML file that you embed Ruby into. And you'll notice here in a layout file that it's pretty much straight up HTML. We have our open HTML tag, we have our head tag, our title tag, we close our head. Now when we start our body, here we have a paragraph, we have a style in here, and finally we close it off, close our body, close body tag, and close our HTML. Inside here we can have a break if we want. Probably get rid of that, that's probably extra in there. And we close things out as we normally do. Now the things inside of here, with these funny looking little greater than, less than signs and percent signs as such, this isn't our embedded Ruby. This is very similar to PHP or even something like embedded Java that you're doing inside of stuff. And this will get evaluated before this gets sent to the browser, and whatever the values of this will be replaced inside of here. So when you actually look at the source code for this, you'll see what this is evaluated to by Ruby. Some languages have separate little presentation languages to help out, like PHP has Smarty, or some other ones are available to deal with the presentation inside of these pages. But Ruby already does a really good job of dealing with presentation stuff if you want to capitalize things or make them look pretty, that there really isn't the need for a separate meta language to deal with presentation stuff. The way that we call things inside of our HTML or our HTML files, we embed our Ruby is there's two ways. One, if our code inside of here is actually going to produce some output that, in other words, we want the output from this code inside here, we put the less than, the percent sign, and then an equal sign, and then whatever code, and then we close that out with a percent sign and then a greater than sign. If we don't want whatever in here to print out something, we just want it evaluated, and perhaps we're going to use it in code or something here. I've switched over to my list RHTML file. You'll see here's an example. We have the less than, percent sign, and then we have some Ruby code, and it's a for loop in this case, and then we close this out again. How this is going to work is this will get evaluated, and since this is a for loop, it's going to look for an end. So these two constitute a block. So this for loop, when it runs, will go ahead and run this block over and over and over. And if you notice, it's a table row. And that's how we get our list, that it actually goes through each of the comment, creates a row, creates the particular cells inside that row, and then adds a link on the end. And if there's more than one comment, this is going to loop however many times. So that's how we embed Ruby inside here. And other than that, it's pretty much HTML. Now you might be wondering, well, where can I do CSS or those types of things? And the answer is definitely yes. And if you'll notice up here that we have style sheet link tag, and it calls scaffold. So this is going to look for a style sheet located inside of our public folder here. Let's go down to public, and we'll go down to style sheets. It's going to look for a style sheet. It knows that, look at this, it's scaffold, and Ruby on Rails knows that this should be scaffold.cs. So it's going to look for that file. And if you look, sure enough, here's typical CSS that we can apply, change. You can change this however you want. You can change and add styles into here if you want, into these particular files. So it's a very powerful mechanism. So these views get generated by particular controllers. And in our case here, this is generated, this one, by the comment controller. And what are the methods specifically inside there? When they call for a particular view, this layout will get called and evaluated. So if there's any particular instant variables inside here, they have to be populated or they'll show up as nothing, they'll be blank. The better example is right here, is that we have comments, which is a instant variable that we get from our controller code. Let's go up to our controller code here for comments. Hide that window again. And if we look here, in all of these methods, comments is being set. You see there it's being set, there it's being sent, there it's being set. Specifically, comment down here is being set. Comments is being sent in our list. So if we look at our list, it's expecting an instant variable called comments to come in and have a value, so it can do something with it. This is a local variable that's available only in this view, so the scope is inside of this view, and then we can use that inside of our little loop here to get information about specific comments. So that's a little bit how our HTML files work. In the next set of videos, we'll actually look at helpers, and specifically what helpers are and how they make our HTML a little bit cleaner for us.